is amazing. The people, everything. It's like I didn't have high expectations, but I'm having massive fun. Honestly, it's crazy.
People around it. It doesn't matter if you work in this festival, you're visiting the festival, or you're a local person. We always had this gang together and everybody.
Well, guys, hello and welcome back for the last Cash Game stream of the Cash Game Festival Bratislava. Unfortunately, we are obviously back tomorrow as well with the final stages of the tournament that we've been running alongside the Cash Game Festival week so far. It's a €110 with €50,000 guarantee, and from what I can tell, it's been quite a successful one so far. Lots of players, and looking forward to commentating on that tomorrow. However, the last stream is going to be a 2-hour Sveton special, also known as Draw My Heart, also known as the Laterra Invitational event. So, if you guys aren't familiar with Sveton, it is 5-card Omaha mixed with 5-card draw. So there is a pre-flop betting round, there's a flop betting round, and then there's the draw. And you can discard as many cards as you like. Ideally, you want your hand to be coordinated with a decent hand in your hand and the board as well, as it is a split pot game.
Yes, 18. 4 call.
The main event, says Fenton. Yes, the Laterra Invitational indeed. And if you want to have a bit of fun, watch this Sveton video. It's our very own Peter Laterra giving an educational insight into the inner workings of this crazy action game. Any game, of course, with Franke, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, is going to have some inflated pots pre-flop. And it looks like he's got 100 in there already with the absolute Raz. 10, 9, 7, 5, 4. Not sure what's happening here.
I say 90. 90, 99. Three solen 300. Fold, fold.
Anti-Laterra and Frankie, yeah. Enough said. And Dimitri in there as well. Frankie has absolutely nothing. He's going to be discarding probably 3 cards. I don't know. Does he keep the 10, 9, 7? I can't see what's on the board at the moment. Okay, so Queen 8, 3 with 2 diamonds. And yeah, he's probably going to keep the 10-9 and just get rid of everything else. Maybe keeps the 10-9-7, gets rid of the 5-4. Sire, 1, 2, 3. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Yep, so Franke discarded all 5, which is, for any of you guys wondering how to play Sveton, not the way to be going. Looks like Dimitri's improved to the nut flush on the board with aces in his hand, which is a strong hand. Not entirely sure what Franke is playing with. He's paid €100 to get a new set of cards. And Yeah, so
I have straight flush.
going to be some teething problems. Oh, Franke managed to make a straight flush. What? So Franke discarded 5 and made the straight flush with Jack 9, which puts an end to Dimitri's hopes of scooping the pot. And that is Franke in a nutshell. Discards 5 and gets a straight flush on the turn. And Dimitri is going to win the Sveton hand with the pair of aces in his 5-card hand. So if you guys are familiar with 5-card draw, that is half of the pot as well. And Franke taking down the other half with the straight flush. It's Not Luck Poker. Thanks very much for joining the chat. Good old Franke, you can't get enough of his infectious laugh that was booming around the casino around about 20 minutes ago, which just so happens to be the exact delay we have on the game, so I can see why now. Can't see Nick's cards yet, but he looks like he's in for the limp. Istvan in seat 5 has 10, 9, 8, 7, 5. Relatively decent holding. In Sveton, if you discard 1, you are able to get 2 pulls at that. So if he discards the 5, hoping to look for a 6 or a jack, he's going to get 1 card face up, and he can choose whether he wants that card or not. And if not, he gets 1 card face down. So this is basically the difference between Sveton and Drawmahar, I believe, where all the cards are face down in Drawmahar, but in Sveton there's slightly more of a skill element because you get to see what your opponents are or are not taking. So Dimitri has swapped himself middle set. Nick has 4 diamonds in his hand, and there's diamonds on the board with the king of diamonds, so he's going to probably be pretty happy to try and bink that 5th diamond in his hand. Franke is betting 5 by the looks of things. Dimitri's going to come along with that middle set and 2 pair in his hand, discarding the 10, hoping for another king or a 6. And I'm guessing he thinks his hand is pretty strong, so doesn't want to force anyone else out of the pot because he does have the opportunity to scoop.
Change 1 card.
Are we watching an aquarium live? Yes, that's exactly what's going on here.
3 change 1 card. 4 change 1 card.
And so, let's see on the discards. Franke discarding 1. Finds the 10. Dimitri... Nick couldn't find the diamond, but that is the diamond in front of him now, or not? That diamond came 1 too late for Nick, unfortunately. Istvan there rejecting the 9 of diamonds. However, he does find the 3rd diamond on the board on the turn, which gives him the nut flush.
Or bet 105.
And he's going to pot it.
105.
Try and get someone off of a Sveton hand. Dimitri has a set on the board and 2 pair in his hand. I don't think he really has any other option but to pay him off. He has the opportunity to, of course, win both boards. And an 8 on the river won't be Dimitri's favourite card, so it's going to be a chop pot unless Nick can somehow get Dimitri to fold the 2 pair in his hand. And he does shove it all in on the river. So Dimitri just contemplating whether he thinks that his Sviten hand is good enough to call. Probably knows that the game's up in terms of the board hand. A set on that kind of on that kind of board texture is rather unlikely to be good versus a turn pot lead on the third diamond with a 3 straight. And he looks like he's trying to talk himself out of this, sort of shaking his head a little bit, thinking, I'm only calling for half the pot. And this is a strong thing that you can do in Sviten. Forcing your opponents off of half of the pot is absolutely magic. And Nick gets it through, shows the 5. And a nice play there from Nick, putting the pressure on your opponent to try and call for just half the pot. Never going to be a profitable situation for your opponent, but if you can ever get a fold there, then you're going to print a lot of money. I agree, sire. The decision needs to be made on the turn because your opponent should be doing this with any nutted half pot hand. So for example, if he's got a straight in his hand or something and absolutely bananas on the board, he's going to be trying to get Dimitri to fold the board hand. And yeah, if you are going to just call to try and hit a boat on the board, it's not probably going to be the most profitable situation to always fold if you don't improve. How are you doing, Vitor?
All good, all good.
You playing some Omaha?
No, I just came from the tournament.
Oh yeah, any good?
I just finished best for tomorrow.
Nice. How big's your stack?
Pardon?
How big's your stack?
243, so double the
Lovely.
double the
Average.
average.
Yeah, nice. And how many people are left?
Don't know because there's one more fight.
Oh, the Herpy Turbo
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah. Might play that actually.
See 11 a.m. Good luck.
Haha, no chance then. Probably still be up. Calling full pot on the turn for only half the pot if you fill up is just bad for sure, exactly. So, spades out there, and Andreas has those. Middle set by the looks of things for Dimitri, but his hand is very weak, and I wouldn't even play that from the small blind. Looks like he's going to start leading though, and potentially discarding the queen 10 and 6.
3 fold, 4 fold. Thank you, sir. 8 res, 8 call. 1 call. 2 change. 3 cards. You change 1 card, 1 change.
So yes, Dimitri discarding the 3, and that card has been given to Andreas, who's going to take it, and an ace on the turn. So anyone with 2-5 doesn't look like it.
2 check. 200. Position 8. But 200.
Looks like Andreas is going to lead for around about pot on the turn. Roughly 200.
Prosím, TV table.
2 pair on the board, kings in his hand with a flush draw.
Tape bank za mě noc. Call all in.
And Dimitri's stacked off for what looks like about 120 with the set of 4s. Andreas shows ace king king for the Sviten, and Dimitri has a pair of 4s, so they're going to chop it up. Dimitri winning the board hand with a set of 4s, and as you can see there on the right hand side, Andreas winning the Sviten hand with a pair of kings. Yes. There will be a couple of teething problems with the stream. It's one of the first of its kind for Sviten, and we'll do our best to make it as clear as possible as to what's going on, but it doesn't work with the scanners as smoothly as maybe, let's say, Omaha or Hold'em.
Restraddle. Restraddle 20. Yes, one raise 45. Yeah, two call.
So I can't believe Franco would have folded that hand, ace king king. Yep, he's in the pot. And wow, it looks like we've got a 20 straddle on from Andreas. And Jason's going to pile it in with king, queen, queen, 6-5. Slight overplay, I think. Although he does only have about 150 and there's a hell of a lot of dead money out there. Probably only sort of going with it because he thinks Franke is ridiculously wide. I'm not sure what the open sizing was from Franke. Let's have a look. Nick has one card off a straight in his hand, so he's going to discard the queen and hope for an 8 or a 3. Gets 2 pulls at that.
Yes, 2, 1, 5. Yeah. Call. Okay. Let's the party.
Looks like Istvan's stacked off as well for some reason with 10, 8, 7, 6, 4. Just a gut shot in his hand. Needs to pull either a 5 or a 9. But then he has to discard one as well. So he only has. So if he discards the 10, he needs a 5. And if he discards the 4, he needs a 9. So that's a really loose stack off in my opinion.
5 change 1 card. 6 change 3 cards.
Yeah, in 5 cards Sviten, Tommy, it's pretty tough to make a solid Sviten hand. So when you do have a good Omaha hand, you're much more likely to be able to try and start maneuvering your opponent off of what they don't deem to be the nuts for the Sviten. It's so impossible to know what your opponent has for the Sviten. You can try and keep an eye on how many cards they've discarded and things like that, but it still becomes very tricky to really assign them with a Sviten hand strength. Looks like they're going to run it out. Nick discarding the queen. Let's see what he pulled. Oh, he's found the straight, has Nick. So it looks like Nick's going to win the Sviten then. And Franke.
Juspetovic 15, 215. Yeah, take this.
Franke looks to have won the board hand with ace king. So that's going to be a chop between Nick and Franke. Jason and Istvan unfortunately losing their stack and likely to be reloading. Oh, sick. Jason managed to find himself the 3rd queen, but obviously lost to Nick straight. Tough beat for Jason.
Chips, please. Za mě na TV table. Ne, záměnu potřebuji Flormana.
Sorry, Si, you're saying the thing is that in multi-way pots you can't get drawn out on your 5-card hand. The board changes so much, and with 10, 15 cards out there, the nuts is out so much. So you're saying to not play... Sorry, to favour the draw hand or the 5-card Omaha hand. I'm a little bit confused with that.
Straddle. Ready, straddle. It's on you, sir. It's on you, sir.
You should focus on the Sveeten hand in the first place. Yes, because... Okay, that makes sense. So your starting hand selection should be primarily orientated around the Sveeten, but then post-flop you can definitely utilize your Omaha hand in order to maneuver someone off of a Sveeten hand if you can find some weakness. And yeah, that's a good point. Your flop nuts rarely stay the nuts. There's going to be changes in board texture and, you know, big things that are going to really affect the way that you can play the hand. So Isfan is in there with a 2-pair.
97.
Jason shouldn't be in the hand. Andreas Franke shouldn't be in the hand, but, you know, probably will be playing. Oh no, he does fold. Good man. And Dimitri calls the double straddle to 20 and folds to Isfan's squeeze with Queen, Jack 9-9. Jack, do you play any Sveeten games in the UK? Yeah, I've played a hand before where we were playing 5-card Sveeten and I got dealt ace 5-5. And as soon as you get this hand, you're looking for us to try and get as many people into the pot as possible, right? So completely slow playing or making a small 3-bet and, you know, getting everyone else in with their essentially dead Sveeten draws is super advantageous. And, you know, there is a chance that you might be able to win on a low paired board or something, or find the 4th ace for the absolute lot. So Nick pumping it up with bad aces here.
Doesn't matter.
Single suited with 10-9-3. Not the best of holdings, but a relatively decent start to the Sveeten hand.
One call 60 discount, yes. Five players.
Yeah, sounds fair. So there's not like ever a Sveeten game running in.
Five put all in. 197.
Aces full hands are straight, probably the best hands to get the chance to scoop. Yeah, because when you have the flush in your hand, it's going to be difficult to do much unless your flush is quite connected as well, and you can like flop a wrap on the board or something. So it looks like there's a multi-way all in here, and I'm not really sure what's going on because we haven't seen the board yet. The Terra's stacked off with ace 9, 7, 7, 5, so not sure what I think about that. Not sure how he's even in the hand in the first place when Nick definitely made it 55 on the button.
5 change one card. 1 change one card. 3 change
Oh, so Latera was on the absolute gamble. Oh, Franke finding that third jack. Looks like he's going to take the lead in the Sviten. Uh, 6-4 shown there from Isfan for the straight on the flop. This table feels very friendly, as it where commentators go to get paid. Yeah, I wish I could play in this game, but unfortunately not. I'll be right back, guys.
Change, please.
So when there's a showdown, try to put the cards both hands
Over there.
as possible, so the camera can see
Yeah,
them both.
yeah.
Because you need to understand. The viewer needs to understand. Okay. So just pull them
And
as close as you can.
he can change the cards. I can put the cards over there, or he can one card change, and I get put here or over there.
Yeah. No, like you did before. We only talk about the showdown.
Okay.
Like you did before. You've done it correctly, but when it's showdown, try to pull the cards as close to the flop box as possible. Both of the hands, you understand?
Okay.
Both of them. Not just the winning.
Because there's no reader there, so the camera has to
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so the winning hand's not be picked up by that? Yeah, so George knows what's going on. See, you got it.
It was from the Indian restaurant.
What did you think of the food?
Straddle. Raise 15.
Okay, so Latera with aces now. Nick's hand, I don't think you want to be playing in Sviten. He is essentially only playing for the Omaha with this kind of hand, because he's really got no draw to improve to a strong Sviten hand unless he tries to pull two diamonds, which is going to be about 1 in 16 or less, or something like that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is Latera a secret millionaire? Yes, I think that is exactly what he is. Seems like a pretty shrewd guy, and he always manages to find the time to come to the cash game festivals. Sporting an all-year tan as well, which is usually a surefire giveaway of affluence.
Three players.
So 3 clubs on the flop, and Latera's going to keep the 9 probably with his aces, the 9 of clubs, to try and improve to a flush on the board.
1 check, 2 check. 209.
And so Franke with the decision now. He's got a gut shot in his hand with a club, decides to let it go. Can't quite see what Dimitri's up to, and unable to see what's on the board. Have you seen the board, sire? I didn't quite catch it. Oh, there we go. 10, 5, 3. So yeah, he would keep the 10 to try and hit the top set. Get rid of the 3, I guess. Ooh, the 4 of clubs on the turn, and Latera, of course, did pick up the jack of clubs, so got a pretty good chance of a scoop here, unless Dimitri has a strong Sviton hand. And that's Latera's hand, so aces with the jack-high flush, and looks like Dimitri bricked his diamond draw for the Sviton, and can't win. So it's going to get scooped by Latera. Looks like a pot of well over 200 there.
€6-2, change €200, new buy. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go.
We love you.
I just like to shout at it.
So once again, guys, we're just going to be making a few small tweaks to this stream, and if you do have any feedback on what you'd like to see, because Sviton is a format that currently isn't the most easy to adapt to the stream on the technical side of things. So we're going to try and be able to see the board a little bit more. We can have a rough guess at the size of the pots based on the chips there, the blues being 5, the reds being 1, the greens are 100, and the yellows are 25. The benefits of the one card open is so big. Yes, exactly. So and as you see with Latera, he's always using some solid pre-flop hand selection, which means that he's only going to ever be drawing 1 and playing connected hands that have a chance to win both boards. It does mean that your VPIP can be on the lower side sometimes, but that's, you know, not an issue. So, what have we got here? Dimitri's got 2 pair in his hand. And he's led for quite a large sizing. I think we can just about see the flop there as... Yes, good idea, sire. So Dimitri has flopped the nut straight with 2 pair in his hand. But that means that, what, he's not going to discard anything? And just keep the 2 pair? Hope it's good. Yeah, good Omaha hands are going to showdown, and that's because it's a lot easier to know your relative hand strength, I guess, with the Omaha compared to being relatively in the dark about the strength of someone's Sviton hand. So big pot building here. Franke just with a pair. I think that must be top set actually with the 5s, and he's discarded the ones that you can see in the lights. So obviously you can see his 5s are slightly faded. He's pulled a queen, 3 and a deuce. Andreas has pulled the 6, and he's made the straight as well. And And a 5 on the king on the turn. Sorry, it doesn't change anything on the board. 6-4 still being the nuts for Dimitri and Andreas. Dimitri is going to scoop the Sviton. We know that for sure with his 2-pair in his hand. And Franke is looking desperately in requirement of a board pair on the river, but does get out the way. Gets forced out by Andreas, and Andreas is going to get quartered by the looks of things. Yeah, so you can see what cards they've drawn. They're the ones that have been shown there in the light. So it looks like 3 quarters to Dimitri and a quarter to Andreas. And it was all in on the flop.
Three for him, 1 for him.
So going into the next hand with Andreas on the button here.
Yes, okay.
Franke in particular seems to have certainly toned it down from what I've seen in other games he's been playing throughout the week. Yeah, getting quartered is pretty dirty, especially, however, his feet in hand was pretty hopeless, right? So he is kind of just playing for half the board at best. Sviton played in fixed limit is a really good game, says Sire. Not that good of a game in pot limit, unfortunately. What's the reasoning for that? Yeah, rundowns pre are pretty strong hands because you can win with the straight in your hand and a straight on the board. That's for sure. Double suited ones even better. So having a look at the hands here, Istvan has got himself an open ender with the draw, so a 6 or a jack would get him the straight in his hand. Franke is really just playing the Omaha for this hand. He has kind of no shot to win the Sviton unless he can get rid of the 5 and 4 and pull 2 aces or something like that, or 1 ace. And Jason and Istvan come along. Jason has jack 9 6 6 4, so I guess hoping to find another 6 on the draw or something along those lines. And it looks like Franke's forced them out. Istvan folding as well, having position and an open ender. Interesting. More multi-way pots in fixed limit. I'm guessing fixed limit is a bit of a dated version, but I can see what you mean by this. The VPIP has to be ridiculously low. It's just so hard to make a hand that can correlate to 2 boards. in pot limit when you've got inflated pots and people going bananas. So Isfan with an incredibly strong hand there, 3 kings and a queen. Franke with a double suited gut shot, looking to find a 10, and that's bad news for him as Dimitri does have 2 of those and Nick has 1. Dimitri calling from the small blind with the pair of 10s. And yeah, Isfan's hand should be back in the mix now. It's king, 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 queen. So some interesting discussion that in fixed limit you can actually continue with your busted Svit in hand as opposed to always have to fold, which can get expensive in pot limit games, especially in inflated ones with Franke in them, that's for sure. Wow, and Isfan finding the case king on the flop and flops the absolute joint. Looks like it's check round. There's about 200, 300 in there. Why is he discarding 2? I would have probably kept the queen, but Kem says, what's this Sviten game? It's a 5-card Omaha mixed in with 5-card draw with a discard round after the flop. Most of the more solid players are either standing pat or taking 1 card. Oftentimes there are strong hands you can have that require discarding 2 or 3. And he manages to trap Franke here, who's just got the 5, and Franke is in trouble big time. He cannot win the Sviten and only has 1 out to win the Omaha and gets fully stacked.
7-7. Insta shot.
Yeah, not sure why he discarded 2. You're much more likely to hit your full house in your hand by having 2 pulls at 1 as opposed to trying to pull a pair being dealt to you. Yes, drawing 2 cards says you have at least 1 pair, sometimes trips. Drawing 2 cards, means 1 pair, or maybe in a small pot where you've got like 3 to a straight or 3 to a straight flush or something like that. Well, this is an interesting point. I'm wondering if Sviten has ever played on a level where people are standing pat to try and bluff at later streets. Is that even worth doing? Do people even pay enough attention on the flop? You know, that there are so many different factors in this kind of friendly 2-2 game where if you start to do things like that, you might just be kind of doing it in. So Franke's in there with pretty razzy Jack 7-6-5 deuce. Once again, no shot at the Sviten hand.
5 raise, fold. Fold 8 all in, 1 all in.
It seems like a good strategy. I'm just a little bit concerned as to how much attention people are really paying. So Andreas finding the aces in the hijack straddle, which would be for quite a lot. So he's piled it in. Istvan looks like he's in for the ride. And Franke and Dimitri as well coming along. So 3 diamonds on the flop. No one with the diamonds, but Dimitri will be discarding his ace now because he needs that 9 of diamonds in there to try and pull the king or the 8. The 10 gives them top pair on the board, the 9 gives them the flush draw. So discarding the ace is the natural thing to do. So Andreas improves to 3 pair with his aces and looks to have a decent shot at the Sviten hand at present. Andreas making a straight on the board. A 7 for Dimitri is a car crash of a card for him to draw. Franke has 6-5. And wow, Ivan with Istvan, sorry, with King, 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 Jack, Jack. So he gets the absolute lot, doesn't he? King high flush with full house in his hand. And Wise Guys THLM said, I would say Sviten is rarely played in a sober environment though, with a smile. Yeah, I think that's a very fair comment, pal. Straight flush wins, where's that? Franke had one earlier, but I don't think there's one in this hand. Oh, ace-5 of diamonds. Yeah, the steel wheel. I didn't see that there at the bottom. Is that Franke again? Oh my word, look at that. The graphics just showing up a little bit late there. That is incredible. What a beat for Istvan there. That is a ridiculous beat for that not to scoop the pot. And that just shows you how sick this game really can be. It requires a lot of patience.
No pre-flop action. No, only small blind, big blind, and it was 14.
That's right, Kemp. So King, King, Jack, Jack wins the Sviten and the steel wheel. Ace-5 of diamonds that Franke pulled out of absolutely nowhere. Gets the job done for the main pot, and classic Franke, we've been playing for probably just over an hour and he's had 2 straight flushes to get him out of jail. You enjoying it, Kem?
Six straddle 5, 8 straddle 10. Do you straddle or you fruit one? 1 straddle 20. Position to sit out.
The local poker club. Whereabouts are you, mate? Think it would be a good addition to any poker game. And I think this hand from Laterra is playable, but by no means a massive hand. Because if you do boat up, then you're much less likely to connect with anything on the Omaha board. And if you don't, two pair in the Sviten hand is never going to be particularly strong, especially a low one that could be beaten by the two pair hands. So ace 10-4 with two diamonds. Laterra does flop jack high diamond draw, but it's probably going to be getting rid of the jack anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, sire. That's just why he's just calling. Whereas to some people, I think they tend to overplay these small double pairs. It's obviously a decent hand, and you can make a pretty nutted Sviten hand or board hand to some extent sometimes, but not a monster. So not particularly sure what's going on. Okay, so 3 from Andreas, 3 from Jason. Franke just has a pair of 2s. Laterra looking for a 6 or a 5. Andreas does improve to middle set. King of clubs on the turn, sorry. Mr. Leider, thanks very much for joining us in the stream. Where have you been all week? With these small two pairs, you want to get a cheap draw in and fill up, or get to play heads up, but that's not going to happen here. Yeah, that seems like a reasonable suggestion. Definitely don't want to be inflating the pot too much. Position is pretty key for that kind of hand as well. So Laterra didn't end up improving with the 7 that he pulled. However, as we can see, he does have the best Sviten hand. And looks like Laterra is all in, which is gonna. Oh no, Franke's all in. What? Seven on the river. Laterra still winning the Sviten hand, and Jason has top set, which looks to be good. Yep. Yeah, Laterra could scoop with the club there. That would have been pretty decent for him. Franke in there with a missed flush draw and a pair of 2s. I'll be right back, guys. So it does usually take a while to work out the pot sizes in split pot games, which can have a negative impact on a professional poker player's hourly playing these games, because if you are playing just straight 5-card Omaha, you can probably get somewhere in the region of 18 to 25 hands per hour. Playing split pot games like Sviten, you'll be lucky to get somewhere in the region of 15 to 18, and oftentimes a lot less, 12 to 15 or so. Yeah, I think one of the main edges that I've found in going to new games and trying to start new games in different places is the fact that if you do introduce stuff, so for example here in Bratislava I came a month before the Cash Game Festival, and basically set up an Omaha scene here that wasn't really running before with the help of the floorman, getting Omaha 225 running every night, introducing 5-card, and then some nights we've also had 6-card games as well. And it's if you are a traveling player or a professional and you have an edge in a certain game, it's not too much to ask for most people to try and get that game running. The casino are obviously happy, especially if it's going to hit the rate cap a lot more than the no limit fold'em, as you say. I prefer 5-card PLO personally. I prefer more of a post-flop style. In 4-card 100 big blinds, it just seems to be flying in a lot pre-flop, or the way it really should be played. If you watch someone as high level as someone like Jay Nandez and you watch him playing Zoom PLO, it's just in my opinion a lot more edge to be played in the sort of post-flop heavy games of 5 and 6-card Omaha, where you make all of your money with your pre-flop hand selection, favouring more nuttedness and more connected combinations of cards than anyone else at the table has the discipline to play.
Position 2. Your turn.
Recently played short deck PLO in a home game. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. That must be pretty swingy. Yeah, short deck at SM is certainly a potential. It went really well here the other day. We had a 2-2 short deck stream yesterday, and it was absolute carnage. We were playing the Jack-6 game as well, and Franke was in the mix, and he'd never played short deck before, and there was actually a 1.2k pot, and I'm not trying to give you a bad beat story, but I managed to play the game. We're playing €15 each for Jack-6 off. It's gone limp, limp, limp. Franke's all in for 800 with Jack-6 off. I look down on the button, peel one card, king, peel the second card, king, and it comes Jack, 10 or something, and another guy had 10s and Franke had Jack-6. It was pretty sick, but a lot of fun on that stream, and really enjoyed the chance to play short deck, which is quite rare in live poker. I don't really like 2-card games at all, to be honest. Wouldn't it be easy to just cap the draw to 2 cards? Well, yes, but that might mean that people like Franke don't bother playing, because he's sort of like a guy that would just discard 5 sometimes. So Jason in there with a similar hand to what Peter to the one Latera had about 5-10 minutes ago, with a double pair. Yeah, PLO 8 is a great game. It's a really good tournament game as well. Sometimes it can get a bit monotonous for a cash game. Ooh, and Jason did in fact hit the set of 6s on the flop with his 2-pair in his hand. Manages to get that one through and win a decent sized pot by the looks of things.
I don't deal there.
Just to 7 triple draws, second favourite game after PLO. Not a game that I've played much. I've dabbled in some mixed game tournaments on PokerStars, but mostly enjoy playing a high-low 4 or 5 card Omaha. Apparently, it's quite popular to play 5 card high-low in Vegas. So I'd love to check that out one day.
Down position 2 is straddle, position 4 is restraddle there.
Live high-low is kind of weird. You just never get the guy to fold ace-2, so he will stack off with basically any nut low, and they'll play any ace-2. And I learnt this the hard way because I went to a high-low game in the north of England, and you know, there are a lot of spots online where it's pretty standard to try and move someone off, and basically I ended up completely doing it into guys that just weren't there to fold, even though they knew they were probably getting quartered. Yeah, big O 5 card PLO8 is a great game. I've never played really fixed limit games before. It's not like poker saying places I don't want to go and play poker. Vegas, long way, hot, expensive, screw that. Quite a strong view there, but for what is, you know, deemed to be basically the home of poker and, you know, the biggest action. Fixed limit Texas doesn't sound too much fun, that's for sure. I much prefer Texas as a no limit game. So let's see what the hell's going on here. Franke's obviously got a bit bored and just decided to go with it. Andreas has got trips in his hand. That's a very strong start. It's going to be tricky for him to win the Sveton with a hand like that, though. Sorry, with the Omaha with a hand like that. And a couple of people get squeezed out by all of this carnage. Yeah, I agree with Kiam actually. 8 game to me does suit a tournament format a little bit more. Oh, but Andreas does find a way to be able to try and win all of the pot by flopping trip 10s. So I'm guessing what he's going to do is discard the... Well, actually, I think he probably just keeps his hand, doesn't he? So he's got trip 10s with the nut. No? Is he getting rid of the ace? It could be a mistake if you if one of your opponents were to have a 10. Throwing away the ace for the top kicker. I'm not too sure. Sire, what do you think about this spot? I think I would stand pat as well. You've got trip stop kicker with trips in your hand. I would just I'd just keep that one personally. So the flop is 10-10-6. Andreas gave away an ace that he had with his 10, and I would suspect that I would have kept it. It would be a disaster for one of his opponents to draw a 10 now and beat him with the kicker when he had the top kicker. So Jack on the turn doesn't really look to improve anyone, but the 9-8 gets there on the river. Andreas has trip 10s with a 3 with a 4 kicker on the board, trips in his hand. Let's see if we can see any of the other showdowns. Oh, Dimitri's managed to find the 9-8, which is the straight on the board. I think Franke might have drawn 5 cards. Yeah, he's an absolute lunatic if you haven't heard of him before. 7-7 gets there. Yes, where's that? Oh, Dimitri, yes. Did he with... Okay, yeah, so he does actually have a boat. King 10 9-9 is going to get scooped, right? Yeah, that's going to get scooped. Well, luckily Andreas didn't get punished for that error, but unfortunate run out for him as he had it basically where he had it. Oh, I see. Yes, the King 10 now would beat him for if there's some sort of side pot. Yes, so yeah, that was a big mistake. Jason did get quite lucky there as Ante gave away the ace and probably realizing his error now. Yeah, seems to be burning money, just hoping for quads or something, or the other 4. Really not too much upside, but a lot of downsides, such as someone else having a 10 and out-kickering you is a bit of a disaster. This is a very poor hand to be limping him with. King Queen 10 with a pair of deuces. Franke's in with the Raz once again. Jack 9 7 5 3. Gaps all over it. You ever played Sveton before, Vito?
No, but I'll play first time tomorrow.
You're going to play tomorrow? Yeah. We'll have a game running, that's for sure.
I see a new game after learn it.
It's good fun. So it's 5-card Omaha with 5-card draw. And Franke has flopped trips. I think it's actually flopped a boat. Let's have a look back at the flop. I think it's 5-5-3. It's hard to fold 60% of a royal flush, yes, but that's a very optimistic way of looking at it, I guess. Let's see if we can get another idea of what's going on with the board. And looks like Franco's taken that one down. How have you been getting on this week apart from the tournament?
Running pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Been playing mostly Hold'em or Omaha as well?
Whatever is available.
Yes.
I just came from the Omaha table now.
Yeah. Which one? The 5-5 or the 2-2 one?
The 2-2.
Any good?
The table is pretty good, yeah. The table is pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know, I was with that Italian guy we know.
Oh yeah, Paolo, yeah. You lost a big pot to him or what?
I lost a big pot, but you know, like I saw you, I heard you on the stream.
Yeah.
That some players really, they don't know how to be in the table. Like it's like in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like they're focused on you first, no you first. And
Yeah, oh, what? Trying to get you to show your cards and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, if you've got the best hand, I just show it at the end of the day. I don't think it really benefits you that much. The information is great and all, but it definitely makes you out to be the villain.
Yeah, the two guys that were sitting on the table that wanted to have some fun, they just got up.
Yeah.
Went away.
Well, because of the atmosphere of the table. Yeah, this is what you need to manufacture a fun and friendly environment for recreational players. Otherwise, you really lose the value, and you lose the likelihood of them to gamble even more if they're having fun. So interesting flop here as Franke is going to have to discard his queen to have any chance of winning the Sviten hand, but would have had top pair on the board. It's hard to get 5 hands in there without a pair. Yeah, a pair of deuces barely counting, and Dimitri looks like another inflated pot with Franke right in the middle of it. And it's going to be a discard of 2 from Andreas, so I'm guessing he's getting rid of the 4 and the 3 and keeping the Jack 9-9. He's got middle set on the board. And that's a great pull for him. So he's going to have trips in his hand with a middle set on the board. An absolute monster for Andreas. Franke is looking to try and find a club to help his Sviten hand. And just waiting for that one to come through. And there's Ville Sari from Finland. Good friend of mine. Yeah, no massive pots. Unfortunately, it's quite difficult to have the huge pots in Sviten, but maybe 500 has been the biggest so far. 7 of clubs on the turn gives Dimitri the straight with 10-8. Andreas does have a decent amount of outs to be going along with to scoop. And it looks like Franke is stacked off as well with just the naked flush draw. Ooh, queen. No, he doesn't have a boat. But, yes, of course, the board pairing is great for Andreas because he now scoops the entire pot. So that one's going to be going completely to Andreas. And it looks like we've got, as you just asked what the biggest pot was, seems to be at least 500 in there. Oh, no, there's way more. About €1,000 pot, that one. And it's all going in the direction of Andreas. Oh, right. Earlier games as well, where we had a 2K pot, literally the third hand into the 5-5 5 card. There was a 2.5K pot as well. As for the biggest pot of the week, somewhere in that kind of vicinity of 2.5 to 3K. I'm joined by Vitor at the moment, who stacked me in a 1.4K pot about a month ago and won 2 Hold'em, which is kind of hard to do, right? Yeah.
On a 1-2.
Yeah. It was 1-2. 1-2 with the boat over boat.
64.
Boat over boat. No problem, Miko. Thanks for joining once again.
Position once it out.
So pretty bemused looking Dimitri there, who's going to limp in with Ace King 8 6-4. And you know what, we've been trying to discuss some of the strategy behind the game, and you know this really has no shot at winning the Sviten. So probably not the best hand to play. Ace Ace 6-3-3. This is a bit more like it, and there are lots of straddles by the looks of things. Straddle up all the way up to 20 for Andreas, who has Jack Jack 10-5-5. So a playable hand, 2 pair. Dimitri once again only really hoping for the Omaha hand here, so looking for only half the pot, which can't be great. And Andreas is running pretty fucking hot at the moment, having a set over set situation. Istvan flopping second set, Andreas flopping top set, and both of these guys are going to be absolutely licking their lips at this flop. Rainbow board as well, right? Don't think I saw a flush draw there. Looks like the jack of spades, the two of clubs, or is that the two of spades? Two of spades, so there is two spades, which is Andreas just calling. Don't mind this, trying to get the other guy in behind. And Dimitri folds, so Andreas has planned there not to go. Oh yeah, it's the two of clubs, so that's why he's called as well. Not really much he needs to protect against. Istvan is going to discard the 6, of course. Gets a queen, he's going to put that back and ask for one face down, and we shall see that pop up on the RFDI scanner shortly. Andreas is offered a 10, but doesn't want it, and wow, what a card. And Andreas has the 5 as well in his hand. Have you seen that? So he's got a full house in his hand and a full house on the board. Back to back huge pots, and he's gonna stack Istvan here. This the money is going in. There's no way Istvan can get away from this hand. So this will be likely a 2k pot, and it's just gonna call again. I love it. Absolutely love it from Andreas. And the 9 on the river changes absolutely nothing, and Istvan thinks he's got the lot. 3's full of 2s with aces and 3s, and he's piled it in. He's going to get snapped off and see the bad news. Look at this. The absolute lot. Wow. Congratulations, Andreas. That is a huge pot in a 2-2 Sweden game.
When you said Andreas is running good, so the 5 is going to come. The 5 is going to come for sure.
And there it is. Finds the 5 and... Oh no, he didn't pick it. I thought that he showed a better full house in his hand there, because we didn't see what what Istvan had drew, but unfortunately he didn't improve. And huge, yeah, it's a really sick pot. I haven't seen actually anything quite like that in 5-card Sweden before.
There's Sweden without being 5 cards?
Yeah, 6-card Sweden as well, which is more likely that you can win both pots. 5-card Sweden does tend to be a lot of chop pots, but it's more multi-way, so like there's always one guy getting fucked and the other two chopping up his money kind of thing. That was an incredible pot. Ante with back-to-back trips in his hand last time with a full house on the board, and then follows it up with just top set and a full house in his hand. Incredible. Brutal for seat 5 Istvan. But at least he's having a smile and laughing it off, and Nick's just sort of sat there, he can't even believe what he's just seen.
Seems like Nick lost the pot.
Yeah. If you were to look at it, it's just what is going on?
Why I don't get this?
I think he's just it's got the envy. Yeah, he's like, why can't I get this hand? He's just sat there folding.
Just be happy you're not seat 5.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. At least be happy that wasn't you getting stacked, because the money's going in. Even Latera was never getting away from that one.
Istvan is being a gentleman over there, taking it very lightly.
Really nicely, yeah. It's good to see. It's good to see. I think you took a bit of a brutal one yesterday on the stream quite well.
Oh, the ace queen.
Yeah.
Everyone was asking me, oh, did you have a king? I said, no, I had 7 deuce.
So, unplayable hands for Nick. Istvan's going to be out. Dimitri's hand has got a pair in it, so it could improve the trips, and, you know, there's some connectivity on there. Looks like there's a lot of straddles in play. So 10-6-6 on the board. Ville is going to pray that he gets rid of that 2 and can find a 6 there, because that would give him the lot. That's an ace, he's not going to take that. And he's going to take one face down, so he's going to be hoping for a 6, and if not, he'll take a jack. Deuce on the turn. And Ville pulled an 8, so a pair of 8s in his hand. And is Ville going to be able to get Dimitri to fold the pair of jacks here? Looks like he didn't bother trying. And it's going to be a scoop for Dimitri, which is good news for him. Wow, and Dimitri managed to find King Jack with his draw, so was probably never folding that anyway, and a good well-timed give up from Ville.
The prop for Ville, he has a Moonspell t-shirt. Love it.
What's Moonspell?
It's a Portuguese band.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, old school.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice, yeah, he loves his music, does Ville.
Opium, that's an album, like, I don't know, it has 20-year-old album.
Yeah?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Is that the sort of music you listen to as well? Or?
I'm eclectic. Like in poker, I play everything, I listen to everything.
Yeah. I'm kind of similar as well in that regard. So Dimitri with pretty bad hand, Queen Jack 6-5-5. Here's Franke back in the mix after a short break with the fresh 200 and some money on the side just waiting to be reloaded, I guess. Nick with the Jack 9-9-5-3. He's probably pretty pissed off, pretty card dead, going to be wanting to play one.
Pretty nice for this guy to have some money out, like telling everyone on the table, look, I'm ready to gamble.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Franke operates. He either spins it up into, absolutely massive stacks, and then does it in, and then starts again for 200, does it again, loses, vice versa. It's a pretty crazy player to have on the table. Usually great action. Just going to go to the toilet a sec. I'll leave you with Vitor.
Not the best commentator for Sviton. First time I'm seeing the game.
Mind out, pal. Do you mind?
Sorry. Get some service here for the boot.
Yeah, what do you want?
Martel. The good one. George went away. Don't count with me for any strategy. I have no idea how the game is played. Warning for the first time. We're gonna have a super dealer's choice probably tomorrow, so I need to learn a little bit of Svit, and that's why I'm here in the booth. Today Itzvan has he has trips on the flop.
25.
Ville with the mystery hand.
25.
Let's sweat it with Ville. Props for Ville.
Raise position to 75. For fold. My fault.
Let's get it out of the way, so it's fun. So yeah, Ville still with the mystery hands. Dimitri has a set on the turn. So far, if I understand, only one pair for the Sweden hands. So thanks, Sire123. You'll be my strategy commentator. Give me some heads up for this game. I'm gonna need it for tomorrow.
Position 1 is back.
The service come.
No, I didn't. George is looking for the service. We have a crowd. There was a tournament going on, and another flight, 2 flights on the same day, and we have a pretty full house tonight. So the service ladies are quite busy. I got them. I'm so tired of us by now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're probably fed up with our faces, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been here so long, for so many hours.
You know what? I have a funny story for you.
Oh, yeah?
You know that you said in a commentary, I think it was yesterday, so it's nice to see someone with a shirt.
Yeah.
So I rented an iron and I ironed the shirt.
You ironed this shirt?
And I came like this. I shaved and I
Yeah.
came like this.
You've made a good effort tonight. You're
For
looking
everyone
good.
to think I'm a fish.
Yes, and it works, right?
And yeah,
Yeah.
it does work.
Yeah.
Even some of the ladies,
Yeah.
they didn't recognize me. They were charging me. I have the free bar.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they were charging me.
And you're like, yeah, it's Vito. Yeah.
It's me, man. You're Hugo? yeah, it's me, Victor Hugo, man. So it worked quite well. But yeah, but it still run bad. That didn't change.
Yeah. Whoa, massive hand for Ville. Trip aces in the hand. But yeah, as you say, dressing smart and giving the image of someone that's a recreational player. Wow, look at this from Ville. He has such a big hand. The lot! The absolute lot. And, you know, there might be some way that Nick talks himself into continuing here on the flop. With his tens and the king of clubs.
How does the betting works?
So you have a betting round on the flop and then you'd have the discard round. So Nick's going to discard 2 and I'm guessing he's getting rid of the... Getting rid of the 4 and the 2, I guess. Hoping to find some clubs. Ville's hand is absolutely massive at the moment. And he got rid of the queen there. To try and hit a jack or an ace. You need to get the money in before the draw because people are going to be more likely to pay before that. And obviously the hands get a bit more concrete after the draw, which is a good point from Sire.
Is Dimitri brushing his hair? He is! To look good. Oh my god. That is awesome.
He's one of the winners from our last stop in Sunny Beach. Ville is showing him that he had the absolute lot. Nick doesn't look like he improved. And it's going to be a very small pot there for Ville.
No justice. That hand deserves the 2K.
Yes, but almost too much.
No,
Maybe.
he's happy. He's taking some chips. He's happy. Nick totally looks a blind man with those shades.
Yeah.
Do a screenshot to put a dog next to him.
See if we can get one on here. How do you screenshot? Print screen.
Of course.
I'll take a picture of it on the. I can go back on the broadcast later.
Right.
That's really good. Yeah. It's what is it? The Yeah. What's I'm thinking of? The blind men from The Mice and the Blind Men. What's the old fairy tale?
I don't know. I'll see if I can get service. What do you want?
I'll just take a.
Light straddle. It's a new, sir.
Thank you. It's never supposed to be checked round on the flop if someone flops something good. Yes, because they can get value from their hand and force people to draw too much. And as you see, people are kind of insensitive to the prices that they're getting. We saw that hand from, I think it was Dimitri earlier on, where he called the pot size bet on the turn from Nick and then folded the river, where the board didn't change in texture at all, and he really had no pan, I guess, for the river. So thank you for that insight, Sire. That's really interesting to hear. Ville once again picking up a huge hand. It's 3 sevens. It's a pretty good start for the Sviton, of course. And Laterra's in there. Oh my
God.
This is outrageous how good everyone is running.
Did Andres change his seat?
Well, Andreas has gone now, so he's technically taken the Andreas's cards, maybe.
That's why. Rigged.
Yeah. Rigged. Indeed. The absolute lots, and Laterra has top pair with some backdoor stuff going on as well. He's going to get rid of probably the, I don't know, the 4. Yeah, looks like he's discarded the 4, hoping for a 10 or a king. Ville is going to get rid of the. Does he get rid of the 9 here and try and hit the 3? I guess he does.
He gets a 9.
Wow. He got rid of the wrong one. And Laterra finds, wow, Laterra finds trips as well. So, cooler situation and probably struggle not to get all of the money in here.
6 bet 125.
I think Ville should have got rid of the 9, right? Because then he's more likely to hit the 3.
Did he get rid of the 9?
6 call.
He did get rid of the 9. Yeah. He's pinking his 5 outs here as well. Doesn't quite get there. Did have a bit of a free roll there.
Give me change, please. Yellow chips. Thank you.
Supposed to get rid of the 9. Yes, good play by Ville. I completely agree. Keep the 3. Try and pair up the 3. If not, have another card. Have two pops at pairing up the 3, I guess. With the 9 being on the board, not something that you want to do. Ville is Finnish mixed game pro. Plays a lot of 5 card. Very tricky player to be up against. Puts you in a lot of spots. Plays very well deep stacked as well. Very well, much respected PLO player. So coming to a close on the stream, and we've seen some pretty brutal callers over the last 20 minutes or so. Trips versus trips, boat versus boat. It's good to see Yesvan still smiling, as he's been on the wrong side of a couple of brutal ones, that's for sure. So Franke has got a gut shot in his hand with some other stuff, with some spades, low spades. Latera finds trips, so he's going to pump it up here, knowing that he's going to get some decent action, and he's kind of got Franke almost dead, having three of his 4 outs.
All in.
Yeah, and Franke is just going to pile it in here, praying for the 4, and
170.
the only thing that he does have going for him is that Latera is going to struggle to make much of an Omaha hand with trips in his hand. So if he can get rid of all the other guys, Isfan and Dimitri I'm thinking of, then he may be able to win half the pot, which is kind of the situation he puts himself in quite often, Franke, by overplaying too many hands that have really not much Svitan equity. So Dimitri long in the tank. It's a shame he hasn't scanned the cards in so we can see what he's up to. Latera obviously going nowhere, going for the repot. And Istvan looks a bit disgruntled. Yeah, he's just getting thrown about like a rag doll. Yeah, but at least he's got 2 overcards, eh, sire? Two overcards, the bottom end of the straight, maybe spades. Cheers. Thank you. So he's piled it in. And Latera doing Latera things. Franke, does he have a straight? No, he needs the 4, doesn't he? So Latera's in a nice spot here. And I'm guessing he gets rid of the jack, does Latera? Isfan is surely not stacked off with that hand. Yeah, he has. Wow.
Didn't have much behind, did he?
Yeah, decent flop for Franke, I guess.
Change.
Got himself an open ender.
Change. 1 card.
Can find a 9 and get out of jail. He's going to get rid of the king, of course. And Isfan with the ace, queen, queen, jack 6 versus Latera is, as mentioned in the chat, never winning. And actually in really bad shape. So Isfan keeps the 6 and gets rid of the jack, I guess, and gets 2 pulls. Oh, what's he got rid of there? Ooh. How many's Franke discarded? All of them. No, Franke's kept the 6 and discarded everything. Franke discarded 5 cards. Jesus.
Oh, you got it. You got the straight.
Isfan did.
Oh no, he discarded. Oh, what?
Isfan's got the queen high flush. And Latera's got a full house in his hand with a flush. But
runner.
yeah. Wow, that's sick. Latera is in such good shape on the flop there. Franke had absolutely nothing. Did he even have a draw in the end? No.
He had, but he got rid of the 6.
He got rid of the 6 for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
You'll still lose for the flush. But yeah, wow. I'm surprised that you got rid of the 6.
Yeah, me too. That's like the key card, right?
Position 1, buying 200.
Not a bad draw by Isfan, throwing away the ace and the jack if he thought 2 pair was no good. So he's more incentivized to try and hit the trips with his queen. Makes sense. But then why is he in the hand pre-flop?
To get backdoor flush?
Isfan? He picked that up out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. That's why he's in the pot.
That 5%.
Backdoor equity.
Yep. Just chopping up Franco's money, which is something that happens quite a lot.
6 days, 25.
Wow,
Whoa,
Ville
Ville,
just dealt
running
the
good.
straight. Yeah, Ville is running super hot, and he's already. What's Franco up to?
Winning a pot.
90.
Oh, he's all in. Oh no, he's not.
He's in pre-flop because it's a good PLO hand. Yeah, I know. And it's not even that great a PLO hand.
No, not really. I'm not playing that.
No.
And I'm not tight.
No, Vitor likes to play hands, that's for sure. Dimitri, wow, he's got a kind of similar hand to Ville, but is completely crushed. In terms of the Sviten, Nick has to get out.
There's a lot of clubs out there, and he's dominated for the heart. Against Ville, so yeah, not looking good. Even though it's a very good hand.
It looks like a really good hand, but it's really bad shape against
Yeah.
Ville. I guess the consolation is he is going to win the Omaha quite a lot.
Easy. Position for F6 cards. Okay, give me the card.
Not sure what's going on here. Is this some sort of misdeal or something? No way.
Oh,
Ay, yeah, what a sick spot.
Ville is completely okay with it. Like,
I think he's just drunk.
yeah.
And he's been running.
Drunk equity.
Yeah, drunk equity. He's
Alcoholic.
been running pretty good anyway. That's too bad. I was interested to see what was going to happen in that hand. There was some interesting cards.
Remember when he was with me on the stream on the 2-2?
Ville.
Then there was the misdeal because Steven had 5 cards.
Oh yes. So what happened in the end there? Did he get awarded the pot or not?
No, like we got the action back. We replayed the hand.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Never saw that one happening.
That's why you don't look at your hand until it's your turn to act. Exactly.
But
It's
yeah,
true.
but Ville was. Wow, I was mad. Like, oh no, you cannot do that.
Really?
He was mad.
Yeah, he does lose his head sometimes. Yeah, Nick's kind of cool here. Or is he in the Strado? He's in the Strado, okay. So Istvan's hand is playable, but by no means great.
Well,
You
he had the double straddle, no?
I think he is in the double Strado, and it looks like Dimitri's called. Peter Latera's out.
Yeah, he's trying to get rid of one.
Yeah,
And he did.
He did. Got rid of Nick. Pushes some equity out, and Istvan is going to defend with that hand, which I think is reasonable. Double suited jacks with some connectivity. Wow. Hell of a flop for him. And
been nice.
yeah, very nice.
Life is good this time.
So do you think he gets rid of the queen and the 3, or just the 3? And then he gets 2 pulls anyway, right? And the queen does help his hand.
Just as free.
Yeah, just the 3. It's a shame we can never see what Dimitri's got. I like this lead. Oh no, it's
I want
been
to see a
checked.
straight flush.
I want to see the straight flush as well. Is Funky asleep? The guy's an absolute
Yes.
lunatic, isn't it? That was the best camera work ever. Andreas is in seat 8, he's just not in this hand. I mean, he has played maybe no hands since he won a 2K pot, which is fair enough.
He went to check on his girlfriend or something.
Check on his girlfriend, yeah.
After being so lucky.
Yeah, he's got some paperwork to do. Yeah. Just anything but playing.
Yeah.
So the king on the turn.
Oh,
No, and it's a bit of a banana draw from Istvan, getting rid of the queen there. Franke's still asleep.
It's in.
It's in, yeah? And a deuce on the river, so Dimitri is going to get... Oh, they're going to chop, so it's going to get quartered. Actually, how does this work, Sire? Is it because that Istvan has better side cards with his jacks? He wins the Sviten, so he scoops. Wow, so it's the Jack 10. That means that he scoops. I think that means he scoops, right?
Yeah.
If you have the same pair in your hand, it's the side cards matter as well, right?
Yeah, that's what they're explaining.
Yeah.
Because it's a 5-card.
It's a 5-card hand.
Yeah, so
Right.
yeah, it counts the kicker.
Jacks with the 10 and the 6-3. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, he's saying the 10 scoops unlucky, and I think Nick is saying this as well.
If Dimitri know, you're gonna get pissed off, man.
Yeah, Dimitri's not happy. And that's going to be a scooper loop for Istvan.
The lot.
The lot.
Skupovicki.
The Skupovicki. The absolute lot. Oh no, Funky I don't think was sleeping. He's on his phone, look.
He's playing a game. This action is not.
It's this poker?
No, he's playing.
It's Hearthstone or something.
No, that's the. I forgot the name. The thing that you have, you create a deck and you fight with another person.
Oh, is it like Yu-Gi-Oh or something or not?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a famous game. I forgot the name.
Only big.
Oh, Magic the Gathering.
No.
Because you're a bit of a board game player, right?
Yeah, I'm a geek.
You're a geek.
I play
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Whatever is there, I play. I used to play Magic back in the day. When I was offered Bitcoins for my deck many years ago, and I was like, Bitcoins? What
Bitcoins?
the hell is that?
Stop
no,
trying to scam me with
Yeah,
your Bitcoins. Yeah.
No, I want dollars.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was in dollars.
And that ended up being a bit of a mistake, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently so. Yeah, I play Hearthstone now. Like that's my gamble actually.
Yeah,
Play more
Hearthstone.
more Hearthstone than poker.
Yeah. And can you make money from Hearthstone?
No.
No, it's just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun. I mean, you can if you go to tournaments, and I don't.
And travel and stuff.
Yeah.
So Nick has a gut shot in his hand. Franke has just a pair of 2s. Let's have a look back to the board to see if Franke actually has a hand or just fancies another spin. No, he has a hand. Pocket 2s. So so he's going to get rid of the jack. Does he get rid of the jack? Because that's a gut shot. I guess he keeps the flush draw and the 2s. That's enough, right?
It depends if it's like against how many players it's against.
Yeah, I think everyone's folded, to be honest. Or maybe Andreas is still in.
Nick is out.
Nick is out. Andreas has a pair of 8s in his hand. Let's see.
What would you do now?
What, if I was Franke? Get rid of the jack and have one face up and then one face down. Oh, wow. That is sick. Wow.
Unlucky.
Franke running aces to counterfeit his hand. What's he got with the deuces? Nothing. So, ouch.
Dicks.
Ouch. Franke gets scooped, and it's all going to Andreas. Hey, yeah.
Andreas. Good
Andreas.
paperwork. Good paperwork.
Andreas.
Was your dog good? Everything in the vet is fine? The dog is fine?
Just coming back, scooping another pot, and probably fucking off into the night again.
Life is good.
Ante is on fire, indeed.
Position 1, you bind 200.
Is the game still running, or are they finished? Oh, they're finished.
Last 2
And we're on a 20-minute delay, just seeing if Ante's still sat there. Wow, what a stack.
Frank stopped playing his game.
I think he's bored. He's just chucked his 200
Yes!
chips in. You can see they're going in,
Yeah,
guys. This is part of the value you get from someone like Franke sometimes.
Put the triangle there.
Yeah, just give me the triangle, dealer. It's all going in. The dealer tried to push it back, and he's pushing it back in again. And it looks like we've got a straddle to 40. And Franke's got a pair at least, so, you know, he might have a chance. Lateras, don't think he's going to play that hand. No. Nick's not going to play. Isfan with
Maybe
a pair of 8s.
He gets everyone out.
Ville is out. And let's see if
Andreas, no.
Ante gives him the spin. Yeah, is Andreas going to give him the spin? Yeah, of course Franke's all in. He hasn't looked. Come on, Andreas, show us your hand, please. No, that's a disaster for Franke.
I don't think he still has the bad news. It didn't work yet.
8, change 2 cards. 1, change 1 card.
What did you pick
Oh,
up?
he's pulled an ace at least.
Oh,
Oh,
Tadeo.
wow.
Oh, that's unlucky.
That is sick. Sick. What? Andreas has got trips in
Yeah,
his hand with the
yeah,
boat again. Oh my
No,
word.
no.
Look at that draw for
You gotta be
Franke.
kidding
Pulling
me.
2 aces. This is absolutely
Andrea never miss a hand again.
outrageous. Andreas just completely cleaning up. Yeah, Ante's on crutches. Unfortunately, he's broken his leg, I believe.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
But oh my God, what a run from Andreas there.
Yeah, that is sick.
Have they got any more hands? Is Franke has been escorted off of the premises? I don't know. Andreas is just sat there thinking, is he pulling up another 200 for me? Can we get him back?
Oh, he got the bad news that Frank is not coming back. Oh, he saw his face. Is he coming back? No. Oh,
He's
Bad
absolutely gutted. Wow, how many times are you just going to have trips in your hand and the boat on the flop? It's unbelievable.
if you're Andreas, like,
Yeah,
every
hand.
time.
Sire 1, 2, 3. So that's why he's running like a god. Then, in a manner of speaking, I guess he's due it. So Laterra's got a nice hand here. Well, not a nice hand, but a playable one. 2 pair in his hand.
47.
Ace Ace Jack 10.
7 more, please. 5 4, 6 4.
Oh shit! Andreas is gonna need 50.
47.
And everyone's in for 50 by the looks of it. Nick finally with the playable hand. Aces with some relatively decent side cards, suited with Jack 10. Jack 10 being obviously one of the key components to a strong 5-card Omaha hand, making the most amount of straights, all of them being the nuts, of course. And not really a great Omaha board for anyone here. Nick's not really going to mind it because he's got a 10 and he's got 2 backdoor flush draws if he keeps. Yeah, that's the thing. He's not going to keep that, is he? So he's going to get rid of the 6 here for sure.
Check. 3 check.
Andreas, I'm not sure what his plan is in this hand. He's flopped absolutely nothing and has nothing, so going to discard 2. I'm guessing he's going to get rid of the 4 and the 2, even though they give him some backdoor equity. Nick's discarding 2, getting rid of the Jack as well. Okay. So Jack 6 in the muck for Nick, which...
9.
Oh no, Nick discarded... What? 1, so... Oh, and Andreas continuing the hot run. Finding the king in the draw and turning trips on the board. He's going to bet 50. Laterra's hand is... so far, from what we can see, good for the Sveton. Laterra calls. And Nick, realising that aces are no good there, getting away. Very smart of him to do that, even though he's been running pretty bad. And Andreas now has potentially the chance to get Laterra to fold the Sveton hand if he were to pot it or something. Yeah, I didn't know what that meant either, wise guys. Do let us know. And has it hit the rate cap? That's the problem. I don't think Laterra will try and do anything here. Yeah, they're just going to go check, and I think that's the smart move. I don't think this is a board that you want to be trying to get someone to fold, either the Omaha or their Sveton hand. So they're just going to chop it up. And that's going to be the end of that. And Andreas is going to have possibly taken over Stephen Velletri's win yesterday in the mixed game tournament that we are doing. So we have the mixed game trophy, the Omaha trophy, and the Hold'em trophy. Jamie Bovey won the Hold'em, and we'll get back to you with details on who won the other trophies tomorrow. Thanks for joining us for the duration of the Cash Game Festival cash streams. We're going to be back with the tournament. I've got a lot of friends that are going deep in that and hope to see them on the final table. Join us tomorrow. We'll see you then. Goodbye.
We're like in a family.